Okay, good morning. Naririnig niyo ako?
Good morning, Doc. Yes
Ayan,
po.
okay. Thank you so much, Erica. Okay, so I think this is the last, no, not yet pala. This is the last of the blood cells, but we have bone marrow examinations and hopefully that will be discussed on Friday. So kung matapos natin hanggang bone marrow, hanggang doon siguro magiging, it will be module 1 to module 3. So that hanggang sa bali module 4 para doon sa bone marrow niyo. So that will be the coverage of our exam on midterm. And maybe on Friday, that will be our last meeting. So
Doctor's
we
Day
will
po.
have, sorry pala, Thursday. So that will be, I think, our last meeting being me, your professor, kasi it will be a new one. So, andito siya kanina. So, hopefully, I think most of you have seen him. Pero yung iba, hindi pa siguro. But definitely, magaling siyang faculty. Ayan, naging faculty na siya. Okay, so today we will discuss on platelets. Okay, so this is not new to you kasi we have a discussion of this one during our systemic pathology. Just that an addition in the laboratory examination is being discussed and a part of or a crucial or important part in the assessment of possible hematological problem, particularly if coagulation or bleeding and is observed. Okay, so by the way, did I already uploaded the leukocyte? Na-upload ko na ba sa inyo? Hindi ko pa na-check pala.
Hindi pa po, Doc.
Hindi pa. Oh. So, i-upload ko mga pagkatapos nito. Okay, so the platelets, okay, so most of us know about platelets, and for AVEN, no, it is called the thrombocytes. So again, these came from your myeloid stem cell as part of the differentiating cells, okay, of the committed cells from the pluripotent stem cell. Yeah. So hopefully you will not forget the important sequence. Okay, so always remember that megakaryocyte, ayan, is the major fated. It is the fated cell that will bring about what we call the platelets. Okay, so megakaryocyte colony forming unit. Kasi meron pang mga nagkakamali that megakaryocyte ay parang forgot that this is one of the precursor of your platelets. Ayan. Okay, so huwag nyo kalilimutan yan. So I will not go to discuss this one, just to show you how the stem cells, the hemocytoblast here is the majority or the stem cells for the possible development of different blood cells, particularly on the myeloid stem cells, so hemocytoblast. Okay, so these platelets are, if you still remember, are fragments of your megakaryocytes. Cytoplasmic fragments yan ng yung megakaryocytes. So megakaryocyte is the largest cell in the bone marrow pool. Okay, so you've already seen this one. Is just a review on what we discussed in our systemic pathology. So ito yung sasabi ko kanina, the diameter at the same time, it is formed, sabi ko nga, fragments of the cytoplasm of megakaryocytes, and the survival time is 8 to 12 days. Again, they are destroyed mainly in the spleen. Yan, but they can be redistributed into the lungs. Okay, so always remember also the membrane structures and canalicular system in which they have or contain the different substances, okay, of that are being important in the inflammatory conditions at the same time in the holistic hemostasis. It's a holistic activity of the hemostasis. So yeah. So I just want you to remember, especially those important part where platelets, okay, are involved in the course of the hemostasis. Although we have the three important factors in the needed in the hemostasis or to complete hemostasis plus the other ones, the fibrinolysis, no? Do not forget the integrated, okay? Yung mga mechanism. So the mechanism that facilitates the activations of the coagulation factors in the presence of your platelets. At the same time, yung productions of your primary and secondary plaque. So, huwag niyong kalilimutan yan. Okay, so again, these are the structures which are very important. Your cytoskeleton, microtubules, the contractile proteins, the granules, and at the same time, the dense tubular system. Okay, so all of these structures contains substances or form the element, okay, of unactivated and inactivated platelets. So yan. So do not you should expect, okay, that in an acute inflammations, why platelets is there, so they are also involved in this different, okay, regulation, okay, especially the mechanism of the complete inflammation. Okay, so nandun sila because they have these important factors also included, okay, and needed to facilitate a complete mechanism, okay, in the body. Okay, so napaka-importante, no, yung mga to, that everything that affects any of these factors or these manifestations, then it will also affect platelets. Or if there is thrombocytosis or thrombocytopenia, then all of this can also be affected. So meron kayong babalikan. Ibig sabihin, you can trace where the possible problem or factors that affects, okay, the regulations of the platelets. So marami kayong babalikan dyan. So this will serve as your, what they call this one, references. Okay, so this will serve as your references in reviewing or assessing why thrombocytosis or thrombocytopenia occurs and the impact of this in the body. Okay? So, yan yung mga titignan nyo. Okay, platelet kinetics, just want you to remember the megakaryocytopoiesis and thrombopoiesis are found in the bone marrow, and the splenic hematopoiesis circulating platelet mass at the same time where these platelets are destroyed after reaching their lifespan. So, removal of circulations for that maintenance of vascular integrity and accelerated consumption rate. So, ibig sabihin, there's still two that involves in the thrombocytosis and thrombocytopenia, and that depends on the factors, okay, that these platelets or thrombocytes exposed to in the system. So macrophages destroyed, I've mentioned this one already, surface that carries surface associated antibodies and complement, and this can be sequestered or redistributed after circulating mass. Okay, so ito yung splenic contractions and pulmonary sequestration. So these are the two means on how platelets also are recirculated in the body, just to count up, okay, for the needed, okay, platelet in times that there are some factors affecting the blood itself, particularly in the hemostasis. Okay, so normally your platelets are in quiescent states as flattened discs. However, when they are being activated due to bleeding or the structures of a blood vessels, then this become this quiescent state or this flattened disc may have or may grow cytoskeleton structures. Yun na para siyang moving, ano tawag dito? It resembles like parang amoeba. Okay, kasi it has this kind of yung parang tawag dito, structures, okay, in the membrane. Okay, so makikita niyo mamaya like this one. Yan. So seems like this one. Okay, so this is formed your pseudopodia, which only be seen when they are being activated. So this will serve now, okay. These activated platelet cell will go through to this broken blood vessel or destroyed blood vessel and facilitate the primary, okay, the primary production of clot. That's still soluble. Ayan, so it happens here, the activated and the clot formation of the fibrin. Ayan. So Do not forget this one. So I hope you will understand. If not, memorize the different mechanism. But I want you to understand. Okay, the vascular mechanism, the platelet mechanism, and the holistic hemostasis mechanism. And of course, the secretions of these bioactive granules. Yan, which includes your calcium, the ADP, your bone will branch factor, which is very important, particularly in the facilitation, okay, ng pagdidikit. Okay? The histamine, serotonin, and others, which facilitates the activity of the blood vessels. So these are um, uh, uh, nagko-cause siya ng vasodilation. So facilitates more the entry. Okay? The fast entry. Okay, so this is the platelet functions: hemostasis, coagulation, phagocytosis, and storage and transport of substances. The fourth one supports the different substances that have been presented to you a while ago, yung mga different structures that can be found in the granules, in the dens. Okay, so marami yun, no? So these are part of its function. And understanding these are important not only the hemostasis but also in other processes in the body. It might be an indirect process, particularly, especially pag there's an inflammatory response. Okay. Now, let's go to the evaluation of platelet concentrations. So in the methods of platelet concentrations, we have three. Ayan, so may tatlo tayong methods. We have the platelet concentration, or same as the concept of your RBC count. Ayan, the platelet count, complete platelet count. The mean platelet volume, or the MPV, which resembles or parang same concept as your erythrocyte indices. Ayan, like your mean corpuscular volume, a MHC, and their MCHC, that's mean platelet volume, and the qualitative platelet evaluations, which resembles the concept or similar concept with your blood smear evaluations. Those are different um, blood cells like your RBC and WBC. So these have the same methods or concept. Syempre, they just vary in terms of the type of blood cells being observed or assessed. So for platelet concentrations, which is also known as platelet count, what is good now uh, is that in doing the CBC, especially if it is an automated CBC, platelet is already incorporated in the reading. So wala na rin tayong problema. So the number of platelets per unit volume of blood, which is determined by the thickness of the cell layer above the lymphocyte or monocyte under the buffy coat area. Okay, so they have the characteristic RNA and lipoprotein fluorescence. So if you're going to use that under the microscope using a fluorescein or the parang yung fat, okay, na microscope, okay, that could read on, okay, illuminating pigments, okay, na may fluorescein yan. Then you can see here RNA and lipoprotein, the fluorescence. Okay, the qualitative platelet evaluation naman, so qualitative analysis of smears. So in the blood smear, this is used to evaluate also the parameters indicative of platelet function. So there are some indications that they might, if they are, like for example, abnormal in shape, size, ayan, special morphology, ayan, staining characteristics, they might not be functional at all or not completely involved in activity of the platelets. So these are this is the way how to evaluate that. Okay, so qualitative problems, the expected numbers of platelets which are present but they do not function appropriately. So they might have abnormality. So if you still remember your systemic pathology in the platelet area, the coagulation area, no, sa hemostasis and coagulation, meron doon tayong mga morphological descriptions. And I guess I already incorporated here again for your review. So we have three evaluations, no? Yung this the quantitative one and this the qualitative one. Okay? So yung quantitative kanina sa platelet count, yung MPV natin, and of course this qualitative is the platelet evaluation through the blood smear. So this is how you see or those possible assessments that you can find, okay, in the blood smear. So you've seen this one because you have this in your nose, in your special pathology. So species differences, platelets, cytoplasm is light blue with many small reddish purple granules. So the platelets is not just a point when you're going to draw that. Okay, so yun ang common findings in your drawings, okay, or representations of platelets because all those picture are just point. Okay, that so do not be concentrated in just a dot, no? So they have this characteristic. Okay, so they stain uniformly purple or light purple, no, with the new methylene blue wet preparation. So in this picture, it might not look like a blue one. Okay, this is more of purple cell. Okay, using a new methylene blue wet mount staining procedure. So kung paano yung blood smearing, it's just the same as how you make a blood smear. Okay, just using the new methylene blue as the stain. Okay, so always remember that in morphological evaluations, pag equine platelets, they stain poorly in right chance stain. But using the defect, you can see, okay, the platelet formation. Ayan. So 5 platelets here, and then of course, yung 3 platelet staining sa horse using the GEMSA. Okay, so these are the differences in terms of the stain used for the demonstration of equine platelets. Okay, so same this one. Ayan, so this is an aggregations of platelets. So masyadong marami to in a cow. And of course, this platelet in a dog. Ayan. Another, we have this cat. Okay, so having larger platelets other than the domestic animal. So you can see here some aggregations of the platelet showing you the cytoplasmic, okay, area, and then of course yung sangbong. So this is quite shows you a large platelet characteristic of the species. And so another one is this one. So macroplatelets are large or larger in diameter as an erythrocytes. Sometimes they are more bigger than the erythrocytes. And this may be found in an immune-mediated thrombocytopenia. And that means that there's a marked, okay, activity of the bone marrow to produce, okay, or to possibly compensate for the needing platelets. Ayan, medyo nahihasten yung activity. That's why there are some unregulated, okay, distributions of your platelets in the blood. Okay, so it was mentioned here, there's enhanced thrombopoiesis. Okay, if there is a myeloid dysplastic or myeloproliferative disorders, in terms that will lead into thrombocytopenic animals, and then of course some non-thrombocytopenic animals that recently recovered from cytopenia. So this is these are the possible conditions that could be considered when you see macroplatelets in the blood, particularly this one, the animal hissid dog. Okay, so another in cats, yan, same with, okay, so the concepts of finding, okay, mga macroplatelets also, yan, so thrombocytic cytopenic animal, yan, because of enhanced, or if there is a myelodysplastic or myeloproliferative disorder. Okay, just do remember that when you see this kind of platelets, considering also the other blood cells, okay, so alam niyo naman what is the meaning of your myeloproliferative disorders or the characteristic of your myelodysplastic. Okay, so they not only attack or they not only affects, not attack, affects the formation of platelets, but also with the other blood cells. So you might see other different various shapes and sizes of other blood cells. Yeah. So another, we have also this picture, ayan, with a lot of granules, okay, aggregations. Okay, same with this one. Okay. Ayan, so you have this picture already. So meron na kayo nito. Ayan. Okay, so another hypogranular platelet, okay, in an erythroleukemic blood of ayan, a dog. Okay, so this is a dog also, hypogranular platelet. So an Ehrlichia platys, okay, so you will notice the morula, okay, or morulae. Okay, so they attack or they invade platelets, sorry. They invade platelets, no? Then upon their divisions, they try to destroy that. Okay, so they do destroy the platelet where they are lodged in. Okay, kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng thrombocytopenia, and Ehrlichia platys infections may also induce bleeding. Nangyayari siya. So there is accelerated destruction of the platelets. So what else? Okay, so you will notice the morulae. So you have two here. And then, of course, the dwarf megakaryocyte. Okay, so why called dwarf megakaryocyte? So they resemble like a megakaryocyte, however, smaller. And the cytoplasm, so makikita nyo parang sabog the cytoplasm. Okay, so this was seen in the buffy coat of a cat with myelodysplastic syndrome. So remember that platelets can be found in the buffy coat. Okay, if you wanted to check, okay, the PCV sample in the buffy coat, then you can find there the aggregations of platelet. At the same time, some aggregations of lymphocyte WBCs in the buffy coat. Okay, now for the thrombocytic responses, we have two, your pinia and your cytosis. Okay, same concept with the other blood cells, okay, na may pinia and cytosis. Now, you have already know this one, thrombocytosis. There's a number of platelets increase in response to most hematopoietic stimuli, especially if there are induced bleeding or problem in the coagulations. So some causes are neutropenia and anemia with marked reticulocytosis. Ayan. This is usually accompanied by thrombocytosis. Ayan. So another is phenylleukemia virus and then the thrombosis. Ayan. This could be a consequence of marked thrombocytosis. So thrombosis, again, this is an antemortem clot. So depending on the constitutions, okay, of that possible clot, okay, that could lodge in the blood vessels. So this is a picture of an increased platelet numbers in blood from a dog with thrombocythemia. It seems like there is this um, responsive, okay, activations of the bone marrow to produce, okay, of that are circulating, okay, erythrocytes. Kasi mababa siya and then yun yung ginagawa. And then another, ayan, so this is thrombocytosis again with several macroplatelets in the blood from dog 1 week beginning of prednisone therapy. So this is a ano kasi yeah, prednisone therapy is under your I forgot the can you help me remember prednisone are I forgot the term. Okay, later. Baka maisip ko siya kung ano yung term natin na prednisone therapy. But these are anti-pain, no? Okay, so they are being used. Okay, so ganyan yung itsura niya. And for thrombocytopenia, so there's a decreased number of platelets in the circulation. Okay, so this is due to premature cellular or the accelerated destructions of platelets in the circulations. So one reason is the last discussions that I mentioned, no, the presence of mga parasites, other with hemolytic problems, ayan, infectious skin hepatitis, hog cholera, ayan, hemolytic anemia and systemic lupus erythematosus as immune-mediated, okay, problems. Isoimmune is the same. Okay, so mga immune-mediated diseases, a classic pancytopenia and myeloproliferative disorders. The estrogen toxicity, of course, the Brachypherm poisoning. Kasi estrogen toxicity and Brachypherm poisoning affects the coagulation factors. Ayan. So, what else? Yan. So, ito yung blood that locks platelets. Ayan. So, the clinical sign for thrombocytopenia is petechiation. And so, particularly observed in the mucosae. So, lahat ng mucosa, if you do the assessment, sa SOP assessment nyo, seeing the mucous membranes, you can see their petechiations. Okay, depending on the severity, okay, of the possible cause of the bleeding, okay, or let's say destruction of the platelets or the hemostasis, no? So doon yung mapapansin yung manifestations of the complications. Mucosal bleeding, of course, of the pregingival margin and, of course, in the intestine. That's why you can see stool with tinge of blood. Okay, epistaxis and severe hemorrhage detected following surgery and trauma because platelets are inadequate, maybe inadequate or not functioning completely. Okay, so that's the major. This is the general clinical signs of thrombocytopenia. Now, for the platelet functional disorders, ayan, so these characterized by petrification again and bleeding with normal platelet counts. Okay, so dito naman, you facilitate now the use of or the result of the laboratory test. So the mechanism behind these platelet functional disorders are either congenital or acquired from unimpaired platelet adhesions or aggregations or combination of both. So in the platelet adhesions, you might think of other substances that help in the adhesion of platelets in the subendothelial lining where the destructions or blood vessel destructions occur. So you may think of like a von Willebrand's factor disease, something like that. Okay, so the occurrences of these platelet functional disorders may be found in Basset, okay, and Simmental cattle. So Basset hound as breed of dog and Simmental cattle for cattle. And dogs with plasma cell carcinomas, okay, in which proteins secreted by neoplastic cells interfere with the platelet function. So this just few of the occurrences of the possible functional disorders. So you can read more of this one if you read on the clinical pathology secrets. So if you have that ebook, no, I forgot who's the author, but I think I have the ebook of that. So if you want to read more of this, okay, you can read the clinical pathology secrets. Marami doon. So for coagulation disorders, so I've mentioned about this one. So just do remember the processes of the coagulations, okay, system, okay, or what coagulation means. Okay, so this is a yun, in concert activity of different mechanism or pathways, okay, in the hemostasis process. So this includes your clotting factors together with the different molecules. So these molecules can be found secreted by the platelets, okay, at the same time the activity of the vascular integrity or the vascular or the blood vessels affected. So this is an in concert, okay, or the holistic activity of these systems. So the interrelated pathways included in the coagulation system is your intrinsic, extrinsic, and the common pathways. So take note of this, the element that facilitates the different pathways. So please do read again. So you have that in your notes, okay, or go back to physiology. So you can read on the different factors at the same time. Those involve proteins, yan, and the synthesis of other substances that complete the hemostasis. Okay, so the acquired coagulation disorders could be accumulating toxicities and other related compounds that directly affects vitamin K dependent coagulation factors 2, 7, 9, and 10. So an example is when the animal exposed to mga rodenticide poisoning. So one of the mode of actions of some rodenticides like warfarin, no? So they interfere with the vitamin K dependent coagulation factors. Okay, so meron silang inaatake, okay, doon, especially in the oxidation. Ay, tama, doon sa complete I think oxidation process, something like that within the liver. Yeah. So vitamin K deficient animals naman, again, spontaneous bleeding caused by large superficial hematomas and hemarthrosis. On the vitamin K deficient animals, if you internalize, okay, the importance or role of vitamin K, then you will connect that with the other means, okay, why coagulation, or let's say why there is a problem, okay, in the coagulation process. Yan. Kasi dito, sa first one, we have the interference of the vitamin K-dependent coagulations. Now, if there is vitamin K problem, then it is expected that other factors are not synthesized. Okay, so especially in the liver, no? So pag walang vitamin K or deficient vitamin K, then the coagulation factors dependent from the vitamin K, yan, then hindi sila masasynthesize. Then those important 2, 7, 9, 10 will not completely used or let's say missing in the extrinsic and intrinsic pathways. And some of these also are included in the common pathways. So, ganun yun. And worse is that if hepatic diseases are the main problem. So, yun na. So, these um, conditions affect the coagulation system. Yan. So, please do read on this one, factor 12, 11, 9, 8, and of course the von Willebrand's disease. Yan. So please do remember also your hemophilia A and hemophilia B. Ayan. So these are also found in animals. Ayan. So may mga records na rin sa animals natin that coagulation disorders are found in them, especially those with the lethal or mga autosomal gene problem. Okay, so ma-acquired or inherited problems of coagulations. Okay, so I'm mentioning about von Willebrand's factor kanina pa. So these help in the platelet adhesion, and especially in the area where the destruction of the blood vessels are found. And so they have that adhesive component together with your thromboxane A2. Okay, so please do read more of your module, especially in the abnormalities in the coagulation disorders. Okay, now for the common laboratory procedure to determine blood coagulations. So in your notes, these are all enumerated and some descriptions are already in place. So whole blood clotting time or yung WBC, bleeding time, activated pressure thromboplastin time, prothrombin time or thrombin clotting time, the Russell-Viper venom time, and the fibrinogen concentrations. So these are the common laboratory procedures, okay, being done. Some are done manually and some are incorporated already in the hematology analyzer. So parang minsan na lang siya. So the whole blood clotting time, so what are the common methods, okay, or techniques under the testing for the whole blood clotting time, the Lee-White methods, the ACT or the activated coagulation time, and the capillary tube method. Usually dito sa lab dati na pinapagawa ko, I am using the capillary tube method. Yan. So yung sometime na ginagawa ko. Okay, so this is how it looks like when you see or when you conduct the Lee-White methods. So this is an insensitive method of screening for intrinsic and common pathways. So that's why I've told you about familiarization on the elements or substances include or important in the intrinsic and common pathways. So ibig sabihin, when we talk about Lee-White methods, we check for the coagulation, okay, disorders, okay, the integrity of the coagulation system. So it uses non-anticoagulated whole blood immediately after collections. So the picture here shows you a different tube, okay, and then having the same blood and then submerged into a water bath. Okay, under 37 degrees centigrade. So ito yung until such time that there is a clotting form, yun yung oras ng tube yan. So the contact activation coagulation initiated by the glass tube. So where the blood is being placed. Okay, so materials, blood, test tube, water bath, and stopwatch. Actually, we can do this. We can also do this one. Ayan. So for the so this is that's the Lee-White. For the activated coagulation time naman, so without lang, no, without the submerging to the water bath. So you have here the whole blood screening coagulation test for the intrinsic and common pathways. Okay, and then prolonged ACT indicates decrease in vitro function of the intrinsic or common pathways. So big sabihin, even that the blood is placed in a tube, then we can still see, okay, this formation, okay, if there is an active intrinsic or common pathways. Ayan, so this may be used to monitor heparin therapy. Ayan. So ito yung target ng ACT niya, 1.2 times baseline. So ganito lang yung nangyari. So this came from one activity, okay, in the net. Ayan, so nakita ko to ginagawa nila sa human. Okay, so this is the activated clotting time. What ang pagkakaiba lang is the interpretation because you will use the standard for animals. Yan. So if you want to watch more of this one, so you can go here para makita yung activated coagulation time. Now, for the capillary tube method, so ito yung medyo madali. Madali lang to. Putol-putulin mo lang until such time you will see a clot form. Okay, a fibrin clot form. So this is a process to which capillary tube approximately 15 centimeter long and 1 to 1.5 millimeter depth or diameter. Yeah, so the materials, you need a lancet kasi it needs to have a fresh blood with no EDTA or no anticoagulant. Ayan, so ganun lang until putol-putulin mo and then you will notice how long that formation or clot formation occurs. So that's the capillary tube. Okay, so the most common na ginagamit sa whole blood clotting test, yung WBC time, yung activated clotting time. So, ganyan siya. So, this is some of the grading. A solid clot is written up an inversion of the tube at 20 to 30 minutes. Yan. So, no coagulopathy. Yan. So, ibig sabihin, maganda yung coagulation niya in 30 minutes. So, after 30 minutes ay may lumusot pa rin siya at walang coagulation, then you may think of some assessment or interpretations, okay, na may problem sa dun sa coagulation time. So for bleeding time naman, this is actually done in an animal na buhay, and then susugatin mo siya and orasan mo siya before it will clot or stop bleeding. Okay, so this is conducted. Okay, you can see here, if you want to go here, yan. So, makikita nyo yung full activity done in this dog. Okay, so this measures the duration of bleeding from standard incision of hairless skin or mucous membranes. Standard, I think it's already in your nose, so tignan nyo siya doon. And this monitors platelet function, however, is not a specific indicator. Not very reliable since it is very porator dependent. Okay, kung gaano ka-deep yung sugat mo or kalaki yung sugat mo, that's one consideration in the bleeding time. So there's a variability from each institution. So what the most good one to check is for yung mga clotting time activated or yung automated. Okay, to see the mga APTT yan. So yung mga yan. So I want you to read more kasi magda-9 na rin. I want you to read more or go online sa Cornell University to look more, okay, some descriptions kung gusto pang mabasa regarding the platelets or hemostasis and coagulation tests. So further reading also, here, you can go here. And please, pupunta kayo dito because you need to read the article. Ayan. So, that is being discussed, which is the coagulation test, their methods, and indications. So, some of that have been mentioned in this one. Though, after that, you need to check, okay, you need to answer the small test. I think that's 10 questions. And it should be submitted on Thursday. So, you can write your answer sa anong papel, basta malinis, and then you can submit that on Thursday face-to-face. Okay? I think that's the last one under the references. So, this is my reference, and of course, the diagnosis of bleeding disorder, the Cornell University also, and some portion of, I forget the author of my one book na meron ako dito. And Coles. Ayan. So, yun yung mga references. Okay. So, are you still there?
Yes, Doc.
Okay. So, nakuha nyo. I-upload ko na to para i-click nyo na lang yung, yung address. Ay, para lalabas na siya. Ha? Okay. So, do you have clarifications?
Wala na po, Doc.
Okay, wala na. So on Thursday, yan. So on Thursday, I think we will have one discussion. That's the bone marrow. So after ng bone marrow, so you read ha, we will have the quiz. And after the quiz, we will talk about your exam and yung, kasi dapat may pre-lab tayo, titingnan ko na kasi nakapag-pass naman na kayo. If that pre-lab will be presented during your examination as part of your midterm in the laboratory. Okay?
Doc, ano pong coverage ng quiz, Doc?
Module 2 lang. Ito, module 2. Module 2 to, di ba? So, lahat to. Plus, yung bone marrow kasi, that will be presented by Miss Layug. Eh, kung meron siyang naka-ready na pa-quiz dun sa part na yon, then idadagdag na lang natin. Kaya yan. Ano lang siya, short lang, para magamit natin yung full time natin. Marami tayong magagawa. Okay? That will be on Thursday, face-to-face. Gets?
Yes, Doc.
Okay, so if you don't have any questions and clarifications, we will see each other on Thursday. So I will upload this one already and together with the leukocytes para meron na kayong references to read. However, you have already your LRP to read on. Okay, as a supplementation na lang ito and your mga activities na ka-include sa presentation. Okay, so thank you very much for today. It's already 9 something. Yan, may pasok pa kayo. See you again and good morning. Bye.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you po, Doc.